And she came up to me and said, hey, I'm Pooh Shiesty mama. And I had just said some about that boy. And she said, I ain't like what you said. And you know, I think, I won't say her husband, but Pooh Shiesty daddy represent another faction of Rap-A-Lot, but it's not Rap-A-Lot. When she said that, me and that white boy took off running from her. Yeah, she scared me because she kind of gangster. And I ain't said nothing.
Charleston White just found himself face to face with Ty's parents, real deal OGs out of Memphis, and what went down had the whole city talking. This wasn't some online back and forth hiding behind a screen. These were certified street figures stepping up about their son after Charleston kept popping off with wild internet antics. He had been loud, reckless, and bold online, but when real pressure walked up on him, the energy shifted quick. He had been talking slick about a young man, forgetting that in Memphis, blood runs deeper than Clout or clicks. Family ties in those streets are serious business, way deeper than outsiders understand. What happened when actual street royalty confronted this internet personality was way crazier than anything trending on social media. And yes, there's proof behind it. Before we even break down the confrontation, let's keep it honest. Charleston White had been going in on Pooh Shiesty ever since the rapper got locked up, saying prison would humble him and that he'd learn lessons behind bars. He stayed on live streams turning serious situations into content, building views off drama. That worked online until he stood in front of people who don't joke when it comes to family respect. And don't get it twisted, this wasn't some regular internet beef or clout chasing moment. Charleston didn't realize he was about to meet the woman who raised one of Memphis's most authentic street rappers, along with a man once viewed as one of the city's most respected figures in the streets. This wasn't random, this was personal. These weren't average parents pulling up for small talk. These were individuals with decades of experience surviving in one of America's toughest cities. Their names carried weight because of what they had lived through, not because of viral moments. And the second Charleston made PTI's incarceration part of his content strategy, this confrontation became unavoidable. So let's talk about PTI's mother, because this isn't some quiet suburban story. Her background runs deep in South Memphis, the same soil that produced artists like Yo Gotti and Young Dolph. She grew up around pressure, around survival, around situations where weakness wasn't an option. But unlike some who simply stood beside powerful men, she already understood how those streets moved long before linking up with mob boss. She knew the rules, the risks, and the cost of every move. And when she and mob boss built their life together, it wasn't a fairy tale. It was strategy. It was survival. It was two strong personalities trying to protect their family while navigating a dangerous environment. Their relationship faced federal investigations, rival crews watching every step, and constant tension that comes with high-stakes living. Every decision mattered, every alliance mattered, every mistake could mean serious consequences. But what made their bond stand out was their shared focus on family first. When mob boss faced federal time, she didn't fold. She held everything together. She handled finances, maintained important relationships, and protected their name while legal battles played out. That required intelligence, awareness, and serious composure under pressure. These weren't simple tasks. These were high-level decisions in tense situations. The respect she earned in Memphis didn't come from talk. It came from navigating real-life storms, investigations, rival tensions, internal betrayals, and still keeping a household intact. She wasn't some background figure. She was fully aware of what was happening around her and knew how to move carefully in complex situations. Her influence on PTI was major too. While mob boss taught him about business and structure, his mother taught him survival instincts, loyalty, and resilience. She showed him how to stay solid when the world tries to shake you. At the same time, she understood that education and legitimate opportunities mattered. Even while balancing intense circumstances, she made sure he stayed in school and focused on building options beyond the streets. So when Charleston White kept speaking on her son publicly, it wasn't just commentary. It touched family pride, history, and reputation. And in Memphis, that kind of talk doesn't just float away. But this is where the story gets deeper than just street reputation. When Charleston White started publicly mocking her son and celebrating his incarceration like it was entertainment, he had no clue who he was really speaking on. He wasn't just talking about a rapper. He was speaking on the child of a woman who had survived pressure that would break most people. This woman had watched federal agents circle her family, She had seen rivals threaten everything she built. She had lived through investigations, fear, and non-stop tension without folding. So when Charleston turned her son's situation into online jokes, it wasn't just noise, it hit a nerve that runs deep. Now let's talk about Pooh Shiesty's father, Ray Williams Sr., known across Memphis as Mob Boss. This wasn't somebody playing tough for the internet. His name carried weight long before social media existed. The nickname Mob Boss wasn't marketing hype. It came from years of influence and organization in Memphis streets. Authorities once described his operation as structured and layered. It reportedly took months of surveillance before law enforcement could even piece together how broad the network was. That kind of setup doesn't happen by accident. It takes planning, coordination, and discipline. People said his connections stretched from the Mississippi Delta up toward the Arkansas border, with Interstate 55 acting like a main route for movement. His circle allegedly included drivers moving goods across state lines, insiders who tipped off activity, and loyal associates holding things down locally. Whether exaggerated or not, the reputation alone built serious fear and respect. But here's what made Mob Boss stand out compared to average street dealers. He reportedly avoided flashy behavior. While others drew attention with wild spending or loud disputes, he moved low-key. The strategy was simple: stay structured, stay disciplined, stay profitable without unnecessary noise. He invested in property across South Memphis, using location strategically. He tied income to legitimate businesses that provided a public explanation for cash flow. That kind of thinking shows someone trying to operate like a businessman, not just a street figure. One of his most talked about moves was launching Mob Ties Records, an independent label. That gave him a reason to travel, a way to explain financial movement, and a bridge between street influence and music culture. In Memphis, music and the streets have always been connected, so that move made sense. Then came 2007. Memphis police had reportedly monitored an apartment on Porter Street for over a month. From the outside, it looked empty. Inside, investigators believed it was active. The location was strategic: a dead-end road, low traffic, minimal police presence. When search warrants were executed, things moved fast. According to reports, officers in it and chaos followed. One person allegedly tried to run between units. A window shattered as someone attempted escape. A large dog reportedly charged towards officers, forcing quick defensive action. The scene was intense and dangerous. When everything settled, authorities claimed they found narcotics, digital scales, measuring tools, a firearm, and cash. To investigators, it showed a structured operation. To the streets, it added to the legend. Now we have to address the most serious part of Mob Boss's history: the 2004 murder case involving 24-year-old radio DJ Rebecca Glenn. She was tragically found dead in her apartment, and Stanley Andrews was convicted for the murder. The crime shocked Memphis deeply. Mob Boss was charged as an accessory after the fact, not as the killer. Rumors spread quickly in the city. Some speculated about tensions in the music scene, claiming Rebecca played certain artists like Yo Gotti, while allegedly not giving airtime to others connected to mob ties. But it's important to be clear, those rumors were never proven in court. Reports described how Stanley Andrews gained access to the building, forced entry into Rebecca's apartment, and committed the crime. His own sister later told local news she was shocked by his lack of remorse. She said he didn't act like someone who just snapped. That detail added another layer of heartbreak to the already tragic case. The case also exposed how powerful radio DJs were in shaping Memphis music careers. Airplay meant everything. Exposure meant opportunity. That influence made tensions higher in a city where music and the streets often overlapped. Mob Boss ultimately received probation on forgery-related charges. Some saw that as light, others saw it as survival. But one thing is clear: this was the intense environment PTI grew up around. Federal cases, street rumors, music politics, real pressure. So when Charleston White jumped online celebrating incarceration and speaking reckless about a young black man's downfall, he wasn't just trolling. He was poking at a family with a long history, deep roots, and a reputation built on surviving real storms. And in Memphis, that kind of talk doesn't get ignored.
Pooh Shiesty, man, I don't know who writing his lyrics. The devil? How that boy think of all that shit? as young as he is, man, how that little nigga think all that shit? How he know about all them guns? How he know how to kill the way he kill?
After Charleston got sentenced to 63 months in federal prison, Charleston jumped on live laughing like it was some stand-up routine. He treated the young man's situation like pure entertainment, cracking jokes instead of showing any type of respect. He kept saying that before prison, Pooh was outside crashing out, firing shots at clubs and moving reckless like it was a video game. He compared it to real-life GTA, like the streets were just a controller and nothing had consequences. Charleston went on to say that now, PTI would have no choice but to follow strict rules, claiming he couldn't move wild anymore. He laughed and said the system was going to teach him a lesson. In one of his loudest rants, Charleston said, "White man don't play," and he got that boy on what they call a probated sentence called probation. Get him, they called a PO. Them POs make them walk a straight line, and they gave that boy PTI. He gonna be tight, open like a "we ain't gonna have no problems" out of Pooh. He repeated it like it was funny, like supervision and restrictions was something to celebrate. He kept stressing that probation officers would control every move once he got out, saying the best thing the system can do to a gangster is assign a parole or probation officer. But what really rubbed people the wrong way was how he laughed about someone once seen as dangerous now being harmless. That tone, that's what had Memphis heated.
Man, that's a dangerous mother.
Charleston even said, "You used to be bad in the streets. Look at you twittering in the metaverse world. Y'all used to be in the street shooting guns. Now look at that little noise. Be in your ears when you be typing. Sound way better than that gun." He was basically clowning the whole situation, acting like somebody who once had a wild reputation was now just another keyboard warrior. For people who really understand the culture, that kind of talk hits different. That level of disrespect towards someone's child, especially when that child comes from a family with deep street history, is straight asking for smoke. He wasn't just commenting, he was mocking incarceration like it was character development in a movie. He celebrated the idea of government supervision like it was some big victory. The wildest part, he spoke like he knew what was best for Ty's life, saying prison would fix him and straighten him out. That tone came off heavy and condescending, especially from someone who never walked that exact path himself. What really had the city buzzing was when Ty's parents finally reached that limit. These weren't social media personalities hunting for viral moments. These were seasoned Memphis figures who had survived decades in a high-pressure environment. When they approached Charleston, it wasn't for content. No cameras, no live stream countdown, just old-school face-to-face energy where lines get addressed directly. No Twitter fingers, no Instagram theatrics, just real people having a real conversation about boundaries being crossed. And Charleston quickly understood this wasn't random internet noise. He wasn't dealing with trolls chasing followers. He was standing in front of real individuals who had lived through federal cases, street pressure, and everything tied to Memphis history. The mood changed fast. Once Charleston realized the weight behind who he was talking to, the jokes stopped sounding funny. These parents weren't there to argue about views or engagement metrics. They were there to make one thing clear. Publicly celebrating their son's incarceration and turning it into punchlines was not gonna slide, period.
Came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Pooh Shiesty mama." And I had just said some about that boy. And she said, I ain't like what you said. And you know, I think, I won't say her husband, but Pooh Shiesty daddy represent another faction of Rap-A-Lot, but it's not Rap-A-Lot. When she said that, me and that white boy took off running from her. Yeah, she scared me because she kind of gangster. And I ain't said nothing about it.
You could see it all over Charleston's body language. He knew instantly he had stepped over a line he shouldn't have touched. The same guy who was laughing and cracking jokes about PTI's federal case suddenly looked a lot more careful when he was standing in front of the young man's real family. That bold internet energy, it cooled off fast. After that confrontation, his whole tone flipped completely. The man who had been building content off PTI's situation became noticeably apologetic. He reportedly told them straight up that he wouldn't mention Pooh's name again in his content. The shift was clear. When it got real in person, the jokes stopped.
But I like that. Well, I ain't bullshit. I like that.
What do you like?
That's real humbling right there. Going from talking reckless on live streams to standing in front of somebody's parents promising you'll never say their child's name again, that's a different type of reality check. This whole moment exposed the gap between internet tough talk and real life street politics in a loud way. Charleston built his brand off criticizing street culture and calling out young black men who come from that environment. He spoke like he had all the answers, like he was above it, but when he came face to face with actual representatives of that life, people who really lived through federal cases, street pressure, and survival, his energy shifted quick. The tone softened, the jokes stopped, the confidence turned cautious. At the core, this wasn't just about Charleston running his mouth or PTI's parents stepping up for their son. This was about respect. This was about family loyalty. This was about understanding that some lines just aren't worth crossing, no matter how many views or clicks come with it. Charleston learned in real time that there's a difference between internet tough talk and real-life street politics. When you dealing with people who carry genuine history and reputation, your viral persona won't shield you. Screens don't protect you. Algorithms don't protect you. Accountability shows up in person. For PTI's parents, this wasn't about clout. This was about protecting their family name. It was about making sure their son's reputation wasn't being dragged while he wasn't there to speak for himself. In the environment they come from, letting somebody disrespect your family without addressing it is seen as weakness, and weakness can invite bigger problems. The situation also highlighted something deeper, the generational code. Ma Bose and his wife represent an older era of street figures who believe respect was earned through actions, not loud words. Family came first, loyalty came first, image and money came second. That mindset doesn't bend easily. At the same time, this whole scenario exposed how toxic internet culture can get. People can literally monetize someone else's lowest moment. Charleston was building engagement off jokes about incarceration, turning a serious chapter in someone's life into punchlines for content. That's the uncomfortable truth behind viral controversy. Now the real question is simple. Will Charleston stick to his word? Will he actually leave PTI's name out of his content? Or once the spotlight fades and the tension cools down, will he slide back into old habits? That's something only time will answer. But one thing is locked in. He now understands that PTI comes from a family that stands on respect and loyalty. No games, no shortcuts, no silent tolerance. This confrontation is also a reminder that behind every rapper's headline, there's a family that's lived through real pressure and real pain. When you laugh at someone's legal troubles or celebrate their downfall, you're not just talking about an artist, you're talking about someone's son, someone's family, someone's history. So what do you think? Did Charleston truly learn from this moment, or is this just a temporary shift before he starts talking reckless again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Street Smoke for more real breakdowns on hip-hop drama and street politics. The streets been whispering, and now you got the full story.